Okay. Well, good morning, Jeff. This is Monica with WUSATA. We still have a few more people that we're waiting on to sign into the meeting. So just hang tight and we'll get started here shortly. Well, good morning. This is Monica with WUSATA. I'm the Marketing and Outreach Coordinator here. I'm here to assist you in moving forward with your exporting efforts. I did want to pause for just a little bit. I only have two companies currently on the call. We had a couple more that were supposed to be joining us. So just wanted to give you a little background about myself and my connection here to WUSATA. I've been with the organization now for just over 3 years. Like I said, I'm the Outreach and Communications Officer. So I am the first point of contact for new companies coming in to learn about WUSATA programs and services. And I'm definitely a great first contact. If you have questions about our programs and services, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. I can either answer those questions for you. If I don't know the answers, I will make sure to get you connected to the individuals that will be able to assist you. I do have Chelsea Conlon on the line today with Idaho State Department of Agriculture as well. And I think maybe since we're 3 minutes into the webinar, we'll just go ahead and move forward, and hopefully the rest will be able to hop on at some point during the presentation. So Chelsea, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Monica. So I think most of you guys on the call today are familiar with ISDA since we worked together on some other things together in the past, but I will kind of briefly just go over some of our basic services in the Market Development Division. And then if you have any additional questions or want to dig into any of these further, feel free to reach out to us at any time. So some of the international services that we offer, we have 3 international trade offices overseas, one in China, one in Taiwan that covers Southeast Asia as well, and one in Mexico. We do a lot of international events and promotions with ISDA, not only through WUSATA, which you'll learn a little bit more about today, but also on our own. We do governor's trade missions, usually 1 or 2 times a year, barring any travel restrictions and pandemics. This year, unfortunately, we're not going to have a governor's trade mission, but hopefully for next year, we're planning to have one at least in Southeast Asia, and then Mexico is coming up as well. We also issue certificates of free sale and sanitary certificates for products. We also do dairy health certificates for export as well. We have an Idaho Preferred program, which is our domestic program that promotes the production and consumption of Idaho food and agricultural products. Membership is required. It's an annual membership, but these services are really great for companies, mostly with connecting them to local restaurants and grocery stores. The requirement to become a member is that you need to just process your products in Idaho, and then 20% of the ingredients need to be from Idaho as well. But not only are processors welcome into this program, but so are restaurants and, again, grocery stores and other retail chains. So some of our resources that we put together and update at least annually, but definitely regularly for some of these other things, is the Idaho Agricultural Trade Issues Report. And that is just a report of all of the trade issues that we know of that affect Idaho commodities. And those are trade issues with countries all over the world. So that would include things like tariffs, quotas, and other issues regarding, I guess, certificates and really just anything. Our international services brochure is just a list of our trade office managers and the services that we provide. It's really just basic information. We also put together an exporting at a glance guide and a how-to guide for exporting. And we work with the Idaho Department of Commerce to put this guide together. And we also do things like webinars and educational seminars in regards to exporting. So the next one on these 2 topics is going to be in September and October. So if you guys are interested in learning more about exporting, whether you're new to it or getting started or could learn more, feel free to join that webinar. Announcement hasn't gone out, but it will go out probably here in the next couple of weeks. We also put together a commercial kitchens and co-packers list, really for companies that are getting started, that are outgrowing their current, facility and are looking to expand or looking for a co-packer. This list is great for that, and we've actually recently combined our list with kitchens and co-packers in Washington and Oregon as well. So it's a larger document to hopefully cover more processors. And the one thing I don't have on here is that we also put together a grants list. So not only the Fund Match grant through WUSATA, but we have other grants as well, such as the Specialty Crop Block Grant and the STEP Grant and other grants to help all types of producers and processors. So if you need information on any of these, you can either take a look at our website or reach out to us. Yeah, we're happy to help. There's a lot of other things we do as well. But again, reach out to us if there's anything you need, whether it's listed in our list of services or not. We'll get you an answer and we'll help you out.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Chelsea. Appreciate that information. And just to let everybody know on the call, there is a question answer box. So as we're moving through the presentation today, if you have questions, please feel free to go ahead and enter your questions into that box, and we can try to answer as we move through the presentation, or I will take those questions at the end of the presentation. And again, if I don't have the answers, I will definitely make sure to follow up with you, or at least get you in touch with those who would be able to answer your specific questions. So moving along to the WUSATA portion. So when we first meet with companies that come in to take advantage of our programs, especially the ones new to exporting, they're always interested in, why export? And we answer that in kind of a coupled way. I'm first looking at our domestic supply. The productivity of U.S. agriculture is actually growing faster than domestic demand. So in other words, we're producing more than we consume. So for those innovative entrepreneurial agribusinesses, exporting opens up avenues for attainable growth and stability. And then if you couple that with the global population boom, in particular, the middle class population is growing at an exponential rate around the world. USDA actually estimates that China's middle class population will be 4 times the size of the entire US population by 2030. So that's just a decade away. So with this increase in middle class population, you're going to have an increase in disposable income. So consumers in China and the rest of the world, for that matter, are going to start seeking out new tastes and innovations. And what's important to note here is foods from the US and products from the US really enjoy a strong reputation abroad for being high quality, safe, and consistent. So this equates to opportunity. In 2019, the value of US agricultural exports was $137 billion, which is pretty amazing. And the U.S. agricultural trade efforts have exceeded an incredible $703 billion over the past 5 years. So numbers do point to economic potential for U.S. food and agricultural exports around the world. And opportunities are plentiful, and now's a really good time for the small to medium-sized agribusiness to introduce your products to the overseas markets and become established as a familiar and trusted brand. And obviously, when you have opportunity, you are also going to have challenges, whether or not they're real or perceived. You may have already been asking some of these questions yourselves. Is my business too small for exporting or to fit in with WUSATA programs? Who's going to want my products? Who's my competition? And this is where WUSATA comes in. We're going to help you launch that successful exporting program by providing education, resources, and connections. And just to give you an idea of who WUSATA is as a whole, so we're an independent nonprofit trade association. We work very closely with the 13 Western states, American Samoa, and the USDA to help agribusinesses with their exporting efforts. We have been dedicated to exporting for 40 years, and we're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. And how we receive our funding, ultimately it's through the Farm Bill, but through what is called the USDA's Market Access Program, MAP for short. There's a lot of acronyms in this business, but MAP supports those overseas marketing and promotional activities by U.S. companies. So WUSATA is one of several other MAP cooperators. I believe there's about 70 others, to be honest. And the others may include cooperators such as the Brewers Association, the Organic Trade Association, the U.S. Meat Export Federation, Wine Institute in California, the Washington Apple Commission. But we specifically, WUSATA, we use the funding to support companies throughout the West through all stages of exporting. And we have a global network of partners and resources that would include our in-country trade representatives, the agricultural trade offices around the world, which we refer to as our ATOs, and then the agricultural marketing divisions of our member states. And that's where it's going to be very helpful moving forward with your exporting efforts to stay connected with your Idaho State Department of Agriculture, Chelsea in particular. So here is a look at our member states. So our members are the 13 Western U.S. state departments of agriculture and American Samoa. And then our participants are the companies who are taking advantage of our programs. So while we're not a government agency, we're very closely linked to the state and federal departments of agriculture, and it's a very unique relationship. Just making sure that you do stay connected with your state department of agriculture. They'll be able to assist you, like Chelsea had mentioned. So where we can't help with exporting, your state will be able to assist you by way of their resources and then making those strong connections as well. So taking a look at our participants, so we have hundreds of companies that come in and take advantage of our programs annually, usually between 300 to 500 companies that come in and take advantage of our Global Connect and our Fund Match program, which we'll kind of get to in a few slides. But the top industries that would be represented by the companies participating in our programs would be consumer-ready products, are about 86% of our companies fall into that category. Ingredients, about 10%. Feed, forage, and others, about 4%. So several slides back, there was a question, is my company too small to fit in with WUSATA programs? Just know moving forward that over 90% of our program participants have 10 or fewer employees, oftentimes just 1 and 2 employees. So we have really designed these programs to work for the smaller agribusiness. Here's a look at the top 5 markets reached by participating U.S. companies. So China, Europe, Japan, Southeast Asia, Korea, and just know that we can help you beyond these 5 top markets. We can help you get to other markets as well, any of the pinpoints on the map here, if you will. Here's a look at our results from the 2019 program year. So we had 41 WUSATA facilitated trade activities, 500 participating U.S. exporters, nearly 17,000 buyer to seller introductions, and $585 million in sales from our participating companies, which is pretty fantastic. And how we gather all this information is through our survey collection. So when you start participating in our programs with our activity-based program, Global Connect, we'll have you complete surveys right after you have completed the activity, and then 6 months later to make sure we capture any results that may have taken place during that time frame. And then if you participate with our Fund Match program as our cost reimbursement program, we'll have you complete a survey at the end of the program year, again, to capture any successful results from your participation. And all of this information is very important for the future of WUSATA programs. We share this information in aggregate format, so we're never going to be sharing your individual sales numbers, but we share it, like you see on the screen, with the USDA FAS to help secure future funding for the program. So knowing that we have these 3 programs, Global Connect, Fund Match, and Export Education is more of a resource, but they can be utilized used interchangeably and together, so we can help you identify ways where you can take advantage of one program and the other program, where they can complement one another. So if you do have questions about that, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly and I can help assist you there. Now that you have created your My WUSATA account, just know that there's a lot of resources available for you in having your My WUSATA account, and if you should have any questions in navigating through it, again, please let me know. But we have been offering archived webinars on our website now. We're providing trade leads through the system as well. Again, please become familiar with it. We do try to keep it relevant. We actually last year went through a refresh of our website and trying to make it more user-friendly and more relevant for your needs. Now, WUSATA works on what we call our 3-pillared approach. And the first pillar is that learn pillar, our export education, which is going to help you learn about the benefits of exporting and how to gain access to valuable market research and consumer insights through webinars and seminars. One of the really great resources that we have access to with our export education is market intelligence through a database called Euromonitor International, excuse me. So Euromonitor, they're an independent company based out of London, I believe, and they have people on the ground all around the world, excuse me, that are collecting all of this research, compiling it into their database, and I can go in based on your company's HS codes, their product focus from when you were filling out your your company profile with your My WUSATA account, and I can show you where current US companies are exporting similar products as yours too. So I can give you the top 20 markets that these kinds of products are being exported to, which can help you identify what might be a good market for your particular product. Know that we have the one-on-one consultation. So today we're going through this information and you're going to get a lot of information thrown at you. So know that you can come back at a later time and have a consultation with myself to review the information again. Or if you have a new employee that is going to be taking on a role of participation with WUSATA, direct them to me and I can again have another consultation with them to get them up to speed on how to take advantage of the program. It's a really useful tool. You know, years down the road, I live and breathe this every day. You're going to hear this once and then you're going to go back to your business. So know that that's available for when you need it to get that refresher. One of the other things that you should know moving forward as far as resources is the USDA has a lot of very good information available on their website. And in our follow-up email, I'll make sure to provide you with some really helpful links. There are reports that they have, which gains report exporter guides that can give you specific information about country markets, like the labeling laws, different certifications that are required to export your product there. And then the other really good resource is the agricultural trade offices. There's a directory where you can reach out to a specific country market and contact the ATO to find more detailed information about that market. So I'll make sure to provide you with those links in the follow-up as well. So our next pillar is that Connect pillar, our Global Connect program that provides opportunities to explore export markets, expand your global distribution through trade shows, trade missions, and more. So what we will do is provide a range of trade activities, typically at low cost or discounted rates. The activities are designed to connect the U.S. supplier with the foreign buyer, coordinated with our project managers from our member states, so like Chelsea, and they're designed for multiple companies to participate in at once. So the top activities that we offer would be the international trade shows and then our inbound and outbound trade missions. And with the onset of the pandemic, you know, things have definitely shifted, and I'll let Chelsea speak here in just a minute, but we have kind of moved into a virtual situation as well. So offering a little bit more that our companies can actually participate in, since we can't meet face-to-face. But all you need to do is register and participate. We do all the legwork in researching and planning these trade activities with our project managers that target markets all around the world, and then you have that added benefit of working directly with our project managers from our member states. And as you're headquartered in the WUSATA region, then you can participate in any of the activities that are available on our events search page, and you just need to simply register and participate. And here is a look at some of the international trade shows that we typically have a presence at. So what we will typically do, these shows are either annual or every other year, but we'll purchase anywhere from 10 to 40 trade show booths, and then we'll have a WUSATA pavilion within the larger USA pavilion. And the benefit of registering through WUSATA instead of through the trade show organizer is that you may get a better registration rate. We oftentimes can offer early bird discounts, but there are interpreters available for you on the show floor when you have a booth space through us. And then we work closely with our contractors who can also build one-on-one meetings with foreign buyers while you're there as well, knowing that the registration through WUSATA is never going to be more expensive than registering through the trade show organizer. And like I mentioned, sometimes we even have discounted rates for those, but these trade shows do sell out quickly. So if it is an area of interest for your company, just make sure you pay attention to those registration dates so you can sign up and secure your booth space. So I'm going to let Chelsea, after I finish this portion about our traditional trade missions, I'm going to let Chelsea step in for just a moment to talk about her experience with some of the virtual things that are going on with WUSATA. But traditionally, we would offer inbound and outbound trade missions. With our outbound trade missions, we coordinate activities for our U.S. suppliers to travel internationally to meet one-on-one with our pre-qualified international buyers, distributors, wholesalers, and oftentimes government officials. We may have the ATO representative for that country to be able to speak with you as well. Companies also have that opportunity to learn about the foreign region, which may include a retail, market, and food service tour, receptions with government officials. But you have that moment to sit down one-on-one with the buyers, and like you see up on the slide, you have a table, you set out your product, and you get to meet with each different buyer that we bring in for the mission. With the outbound trade missions, registration fees usually range between $250 to $500 to register for. Oftentimes that does include the hotel expense as well. You are responsible for your own travel arrangements, but this would be a good example of how you could take advantage of Fund Match, because Fund Match can reimburse you for those travel expenses for the most part. The majority of our outbound trade missions would be eligible for Fund Match. And before you plan on that, I would definitely make sure to reach out to our Fund Match team just to verify that that's the case. But the majority of those outbound missions, you would be able to seek reimbursements for your air travel. With our inbound trade missions, it's basically the reverse. We're bringing the buyers here to the United States, typically within the WUSATA region, again, to meet one-on-one with our program participants, our U.S. suppliers. Inbound missions can also include a facility tour where we take the buyers to your facility to see your processes. It's all designed to help enhance that buyer to supplier relationship. They like to see how things work on our side. These missions are very cost effective, as you really can meet with those buyers right in your own backyard. So registration fees are typically between $15 and $25 to register for. Sometimes they're complimentary. And then again, you are responsible for your own travel arrangements. So your hotel and then your travel expenses, whether or not you fly or drive to the activity. So if it's not in Idaho, if it's an activity that's taking place in Seattle, it would be your responsibility to get there. But again, when you're comparing it to an outbound trade mission or some of those international trade shows, extremely cost effective. So I'm going to go ahead and pause for just a moment because I know Chelsea has some good insights with our virtual missions that we're going to be building.
Awesome, thanks, Monica. So because international travel is restricted, WUSATA has decided that the rest of the year we're not going to do any in-person activities as far as the inbound and outbound missions go. So we're not going to be inviting any buyers to come to the US, and we're not sending any of our people out to foreign countries for these one-on-ones. So in lieu of the in-person activities, we've started to shift our activities over to virtual activities. So in kind of the realm of the one-on-one meetings with the inbound and outbound missions, we are still doing matchmaking with overseas buyers for each of the countries that we have designated already for the activities. So for example, we're currently working right now on doing one-on-one matchmaking in lieu of the China outbound mission. So video conferences with buyers in Hong Kong and Shanghai. So again, you still get that one-on-one meeting experience without the travel. And because we are doing it this way, we're significantly discounting the activities, and it's a lot more cost effective for our companies to be able to participate in these things. We are still trying to make it as real and as normal as we can. So we are including shipment of sample costs covered by WUSATA. We're trying to do a presentation from the Ag Trade Office so you can still get your market update. But it's really neat. And because this is so new, we're still kind of working on how, the details and seeing how they go. But we're really, really excited to start switching over our in-person activities to virtual. Not only are we doing these one-on-one activities, but we're also being creative and trying new ideas and other ways that we can bring U.S. ingredients and products exposure to overseas markets. So a couple of the other activities that we know are going on is a restaurant promotion in Korea, where we're taking WUSATA products, working with actually IHOP in Korea, and they're going to be doing new recipe development and doing a promotion of the Western ingredients through some of their dishes. So things like that as well as an activity that I'm working on right now in the Japan market. So a Bento Box Promotion. So the Japanese lunch boxes where we use WUSATA ingredients, make some meals. We're shooting a short, probably 90-second video to go along with how that bento box was made. And then we'll be sending them out to 200 buyer contacts in Japan in the HRI industry. So we have a lot of really cool stuff coming up, working on new ideas, but definitely take advantage of these because you get all of the activity experience without having to do the travel and at a lower cost right now. So it's a really great opportunity. We are finding that overseas buyers are still wanting to meet with WUSATA suppliers. So that's really great and promising. So stay tuned to our calendar events that we send out monthly through the Department of Ag, or since you are on the WUSATA list, you should be getting the recruitments as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for covering that portion. Chelsea is definitely more connected on the virtual side than I am, so I thought it would be beneficial for you to hear about our virtual admissions with someone who is more knowledgeable. So now I'd like to take pause and share a success story from one of your fellow Idahoans. So I recently was speaking with Martin Sanchez, who's the operations manager from Mountain States Oilseeds, and they said that it would be absolutely wonderful if I could share their success. So they're based in, I believe it's American Falls, Idaho, and they have been producing the highest quality oilseed products for more than 40 years. And the company sends their flaxseed, safflower seed, yellow, oriental, and brown mustards all across the globe. And they were able to expand their reach by attending the 2019 USDA trade mission to Colombia offered through WUSATA. So oftentimes we'll have a mission that is brought to us through the USDA, and the WUSATA and our counterparts, SUSTA and the food exports, will also recruit our companies to be able to participate in this kind of joint mission, if you will. And while they were on the mission, they were able to meet with a new customer from Ecuador who placed an initial order. And then at the time, the expectations were to order multiple containers per year. And they said they've shipped 4 containers, which was 200,000 pounds of their yellow mustard seed. And then we were hit with the pandemic, unfortunately, but they, in speaking with Martin, he said that they really are hopeful that they'll be able to start their shipping efforts up again come November. So just wanted to let you know that there are successful companies in Idaho that are taking advantage of our programs, and they are seeing the benefits of their participation. So like Chelsea mentioned, you know, all of our activities, you will be able to receive those recruitments, I believe, as long as you have the specific country markets checked in your My WUSATA account of what you want to receive notifications on. So you might want to go in and look at your regional focus to make sure that you have access to all of the recruitments that are an area of interest for your company. But you can also pay attention to our events search page where we house all of our activities as well. So one thing to know when you're on our activity search page, as long as you are logged into your My WUSATA account, when you click on the activity name, for example, this Europe dried fruit and nuts inbound trade mission, if you were to click on it, it would open up a new page, and the project manager information would be housed on the right-hand side. If you're not logged in, that won't be present. And the reason I bring this up is that when you are looking at a mission to attend, to know whether or not it's a good fit, we may have a general idea on the recruitment piece that says, you know, whether it'll give an idea of the type of products that would be a good fit for that mission. But if you really want to have a good understanding, is to call the project manager and find out if your product would be a good fit. They're the ones that are working closely with bringing in the buyers and would be able to give you that necessary information to make that decision on whether or not it would be a good fit for your product. If you ever have any questions about navigating this particular page, just let me know. It's good good to know that you can favorite an activity if it's coming soon, so that way you can get those notifications when the registration is going live. If a particular activity is sold out, make sure that you waitlist for a spot. If there are times when companies are not able to attend and they cancel their registration, and then we'll reach out to you to let you know that a space has become available. All right, so one of the really great resources that you have access to in just creating your WUSATA account are trade leads. And one of the really exciting things for trade leads are that we recently launched a new way to communicate that you have a trade lead now. Before, you would have to log into your WUSATA account, and where it says welcome back Monica, or your name, obviously not mine, you would have a trade lead tile, and there'd be a little orange notification circle that would indicate that you have a trade lead. And what trade leads are, they're time-sensitive requests that we've received from a foreign buyer seeking to source a specific US product. Now, that will still be present when you log into your WUSATA account, but now you'll also receive an email notification, which is great. So when that trade lead comes in and you log into your WUSATA account, click on the trade lead tile, and it will bring up the page with all the contact information for the buyer. Then it's just up to you to reach out to the buyer to see if there's a good match. So it's a free service that we offer. The requests come in through our agricultural trade offices, also through our contractors occasionally as well. So it's kind of a virtual matchmaking, if you will. So it's right at your fingertips. You didn't have to even leave your home, and you may have a trade lead today. So definitely look at your account when we're done with this presentation. So our last pillar is that compete pillar, our fund match program, which assists the qualifying Western US company, helps them to compete in those international markets by providing 50% cost reimbursement for those eligible marketing and promotional activities. So looking at 2019, we had about 245 companies that took advantage of the program. We really wanted to meet 250, but maybe next year. Then on average, the companies enjoyed a 95-to-1 return on investment, which is pretty fantastic. Here is our guide. So currently on our website, you'll have access to the 2020 guide as well as the 2021 guide, because you can still apply for 2020 if it makes sense for your company, if you still have marketing initiatives through the remainder of the year. But these guides are really going to be a key component to your success in using the program. As it is a taxpayer-funded program, we do follow a very detailed set of federal regulations, and we've defined these policies to protect you and the program's viability. So the guide really is, it's an up-to-date, it's an exhaustive resource. It outlines these regulations in clear and user-friendly language. Hopefully, that's how we've designed it. As you can see on the right-hand image, so we're looking at printed sales material. On the left, in the green section, that means go. Those are good. Those are things that you can be reimbursed for. The orange side indicates the types of expenses you may be incurring for this particular activity, but would not be considered reimbursable. So just become familiar with the guide. I do recommend reading it all the way through at least once. The most important information is going to be when you start participating and you have those specific activities that you're going to be carrying out, and becoming familiar with those sections. If you're not going to be doing web development, don't look at that section. You know, if you're doing printed sales materials, make sure you pay attention to those highlighted areas. One thing to note with the Fund Match program, there are some countries that are not eligible for reimbursements. Those would be the federally prohibited countries. So if you were doing any marketing initiatives in the Crimea region of the Ukraine, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, or Syria, we would not be able to reimburse you for those expenses. And then there are some areas considered part of the domestic market, the US territories and outlying areas, such as American Samoa, Federated States of Micronesia, Guam, Midway Islands, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands. So as you move forward with your participation with FundMatch, this is a really helpful tool that our FundMatch team put together last year, and we launched at the end of the year, which is our example claim. So you can go onto our website, and if you're doing a billboard ad or a magazine ad, you can go ahead and click on that link to the claim, and it's going to give you an idea of what the documentation is going to look like, everything that you need to be able to submit that claim into our office to seek reimbursement. So take a look at those as you start, even before you start applying for the program. And then we also have our videos that have give you some good information about the program as well. I just know that communication with the FundMatch team is going to be very helpful as well moving forward with your participation. But let's go ahead and talk about eligibility first. So to be eligible for the FundMatch program, your company headquarters needs to be within one of the WUSATA member states, so the 13 Western states or American Samoa. Need to be considered a small business according to SBA guidelines, which is typically under 500 employees, but I've seen go up to about 1,500 employees. It depends on your NAICS code, that North American Industries Classification Code. And then you need to be legally licensed, not illegally licensed, legally licensed, independently owned, and operating for at least 12 months, and then meet all product and packaging requirements, which we'll take a look at next. So for your products, they do need to be meet that 50% US origin rule. So products that are processed in the United States but don't meet that 50% US origin rule would not be considered eligible for our program. And that's because our funding, again, comes through the Farm Bill. We're supporting the farmer on that processed product level, if you will. So products, again, need to be agriculturally based, meaning farmed, fished, or forested. And then your company must have brand ownership. And if you do not have brand ownership, then you do need to have a sole agency agreement with the brand owner. And then your product needs to be clearly marked as a product of the USA. And I will say that this is probably the #1 reason for denied claims, is that your products and marketing materials don't carry that accurate US origin statement. And here are some examples of what would be considered eligible statements. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list, so there may be something that you might be thinking of, and if it's not on this list, just go ahead and give our FundMatch team a call and speak with them, and they may be able to, they will be able to give you guidance on whether or not it would be an eligible statement. But say product of the USA, grown in America, grown in Idaho, those would all be considered eligible. Note that if you are going to be using Idaho, the state name does need to be spelled out in its entirety, because oftentimes an abbreviation could be misinterpreted as a foreign country. California is a good example. If they use CA, it could be misinterpreted as Canada. And as we're a program to promote the export of US goods, we want to make sure that all of the product labels and promotional materials have that eligible printed US origin statement. Now let's take a look at the amount of funding that you can request. So in the first year of applying for the FundMatch program, I should say across the board, the minimum amount that you can request is $2,500, meaning that you're spending $5,000 in those eligible promotional activities, being reimbursed $2,500. But in your first year, if you're brand new to exporting, the maximum amount that you can request is $25,000. If you have some experience, you're already shipping to Canada, for example, you can have a conversation with our FundMatch manager, and she can increase that initial amount to $50,000. Again, spending $100, being reimbursed $50. Every year after your first year, the maximum amount increases to $300,000. So we do have a lot of funding available. We just want to make sure in that first year you become very familiar with the processes, aren't biting off more than you can chew. We want it to be a very smooth and easy process moving through the program. We want you to be successful. These next two slides are going to contain a partial list of reimbursable expenses. The guide has a very detailed information about the type of activities that you can seek reimbursements for. So there's definitely going to be more than what we have listed on these next two slides. So make sure, again, to take a look at the guide. Approved domestic trade shows in the back of the guide, there's going to be a list that has all of the trade shows domestically that you can exhibit at and seek reimbursements for. And the types of reimbursements that you can seek for would be the booth, the cost of the booth space, shipping your samples to the trade show, marketing material that you have created for that show. With the next bullet point, shipping and freight costs. So that would be for, not for shipping your product like as in a sale, but shipping samples. So samples to those potential customers, to our trade missions, those outbound trade missions, to the trade shows, promotional giveaways that you're going to be giving away at your trade activity. So like if it's a pen or one of those little squeezy balls, packaging and label modifications, that's one that a lot of our companies take advantage of. So if it's a modification that is required by the country where you are going to be shipping your product to, and they require that, it needs to be in multiple languages, for Canada, example, it needs to be in English and French, then that would be an eligible expense. We can reimburse you 50% of those packaging and label modifications. Go ahead and take a look at the next one. So advertising, all of this is, the remainder of this is all going to take place in that foreign market. The only thing in the domestic market that's eligible for reimbursements through WUSATA is exhibiting at those approved domestic trade shows. Everything else is going to take place in that foreign country market. So advertising through radio, TV, billboards, social media, e-newsletters, and so on, all taking place in that foreign country market, and we can reimburse you 50% of those. Looking at the program timeline, so the program runs from January 1st to December 31st. We open up the applications for the coming year starting August 1st of the previous year. So August 1st, we opened up the 2021 application, so you can now apply for either 2020, if that makes sense, like I said before, or the 2021 program year. And then you'll carry out your activities throughout the year, and then submit your claims into our office so we can review and get you your reimbursement. And then all claims for the previous year do need to be submitted into our office by the last day of February. And then again, at the end of the program year, we have you complete that survey again to document the results and share with FAS to make sure that the program stays viable at that federal level. When it comes time for you to apply for the program, it's a pretty straightforward process. It's done through your My WUSATA account. So you log in, there's a fund match tile, you go ahead and click on that and choose the year that you wish to apply for. There is a non-refundable application fee of $250, so just be aware of that. And your approval date is really important. So only the activities and the materials created after your approval date would be eligible for reimbursements. So once you have that approval date, then you can start conducting those promotional activities. If you apply, for example, between August 1st and December 31st for the 2021 program year, your approval date will be January 1st, as long as your application is complete. If your application is missing any information, you will receive an approval date based on the month that your application is found to be complete. So for example, if you apply for the 2020 program year and you submit all of your application this month in August, but we don't get all of the supporting documentation until the middle of September, your approval date will be September 1st. I hope that makes sense. All right, so kind of looking, this is another component to the application process. So when you are filling out the application, you're also going to be asked to fill out this US calculation sheet. Essentially, we're trying to ensure that your products do meet at least 50% US grown ingredients by weight, excluding water and packaging. So again, products need to be farm, fished, or forested from within the United States. Minerals and salts are not considered agricultural ingredients, so they can't be used to meet the 50% requirement. If you do have any questions when you get to this point and are struggling in filling it out, make sure you connect with our Fund Match team. Usually it gets a little bit more problematic when we're looking at like a products that contain like nutraceuticals. It's hard to know, where there's so many ingredients involved. It can just be a little challenging. However, again, we're more than happy to help you through this process if needed. So once you submit your Fund Match application online and mail, so you're going to the first component is submitted online, and then you're going to print out there's a certification statement, and you're going to mail that into our fund match manager along with your labels, and she's going to review that. So that's Chloe Mesh, our fund match manager. She'll go ahead and review your application, and once she approves it, you'll get an allocation notice via email to review. And if you say okay, then you're going to receive an online contract through your dashboard. So it's all done electronically, and it's underneath that fund match program tile again, and that's where you're going to sign and submit it. What's important at this point is once you are contracted, you're going to be invoiced for a 6% non-refundable administrative fee. And this is why I really try to coach companies to err on the side of being conservative when they're requesting funding through the fund match program, and only building into your application those activities that you know for sure that you're going to be carrying out. Because we don't want to make money off of you. That's not the point of the program. We want to make sure that you take full advantage of the funding that you request. So to give you an example, if a company is approved for $25,000, the admin fee associated with that would be $1,500. So if you don't end up utilizing all of that $25,000, you will have paid that non-refundable admin fee of $1,500 unnecessarily. So just be conservative when you're requesting funding, knowing that you can come back if needed and request additional funding. We have an amendment phase. So if a new market opens up, or if a new marketing initiative is presented to you, or if you have a new product line that you want to market, you can come back and request additional funding, and just have communication with Chloe again, and she'll be able to add more money to your marketing plan or your marketing budget. Once that is all said and done and you're contracted, then you can go ahead and conduct those eligible promotional activities. You're going to submit those claims for reimbursement into our office within 90 days after your activity has ended. And then again, for those activities that are conducted in December, we need to make sure that you get those into our office by the end of February. And then at the end of the program year, we'll have you complete that survey again. So this process is, if you wish to participate in multiple years, you're going to follow this fee schedule and process for every year you wish to participate. Now, looking at how you get reimbursed, this is always a helpful slide. So Fund Match participants, they submit those complete claims, including the claim form and expense summary sheet, into our office, and that's all done via mail. Again, we're working on a way to make that more simplistic in the electronic side, but we're still working through that with our web developers. So for the meantime, you're mailing all of the necessary documentation into our office. When we receive it in, we're going to log it in, flag it for review. They are reviewed in the order we receive them, so there may be several claims ahead of yours, so keep that in mind. If we do need additional documentation or clarification from your company, we make sure to reach out so we can secure that information. We want to make sure you get your full reimbursements, but again, we want to stay within that 90-day window, so try to respond quickly and swiftly if we are asking for additional documentation. After we finish reviewing the claim and approve it, we request for a batch of claims to be paid through the USDA FAS. So we don't actually have the funding here. It's held at a federal bank. And there are times of the year when they're faster than others, so that can affect the speed of their reimbursement to us. But as soon as we receive the funding, we make sure to disperse it to the companies via check immediately. So, when will your claim be paid? So from the time you submit the claim into our office till the time you receive your reimbursement, the time frame is approximately 12 to 16 weeks, but that can vary depending on volume of claims that we receive. So there are windows of time where we receive a large number of claims. An example would be 90 days after a large trade show, such as Fancy Food or Expo West. We have a lot of companies that attend Expo West. And then some claims are just more complicated than others. That can slow the process down as well. But we do work diligently to review and process the claims as quickly and accurately as we can. And as customer service really is a priority for us, we've created a tool to help you monitor the process. So when you log into your My WUSATA account, go to the Fund Match Program tile, the year, the claim status, and the claim number, you can see who it is that is reviewing your particular claim. And if you do have questions, you can contact them directly. But I'll tell you right now, they are going to be very communicative with you as you move through this. You will know who's processing your claim before you even have an opportunity to use this tool. But should that not be the case, know that you can access the information through your My WUSATA account. So to ensure that smooth claims process, I really just making sure that your forms are all completely filled out, making sure you're holding on to all of the necessary documentation, keeping it in one place so that way when it comes time to submitting your claims, that you have all of that necessary information, making sure you're staying within that 90-day window. Some tips for success, making sure, I think I've said this several times, making sure you refer to the Fund Match Program Guide. It really is a great resource. It's going to help you understand the types of expenses that you can seek reimbursements for and all of the documentation required to be able to do so. One of the really awesome tools that we offer with FundMatch is you can schedule a time to discuss your marketing plan with either our FundMatch manager or one of our FundMatch coordinators. They're more than happy to sit down with you and talk about your plan and let you know all of the nuances about the program, let you know about the types of documentation that are required so you can have as much clarity as possible moving forward. So when it does come time to that claim submission, you're very well versed and you have a good understanding of what needs to happen. And then just making sure to contact us directly if you have questions. Communication is the key in being successful with this program. One of the really great things that we can do, so if you are currently working with a distributor or you haven't met with a distributor yet, just know that we can reimburse them directly for those eligible promotional activities that they're conducting on your behalf. It's a really great resource, and you can also use it as a negotiation tool when you're meeting with importers and distributors for the first time. They love to know that you have a pool of funding that you can draw from that's federally funded, and they're like, okay, yeah, that's definitely secure. We can work with them. You know, we know that we're going to get paid. So one of the most common questions we get asked by companies is, why do we require so much paperwork? And believe me when I say that we are required to review every single piece of documentation that you submit into our office. We go through our own internal audit through FAS as well. So really, when we're asking for something, we do need it. And it's because it comes down to we are acting as stewards of taxpayer funds distributed through the USDA Market Access Program. So it really is our responsibility to protect and our participating companies, our state members, and then obviously the taxpayers who are funding the program. So we just ask that you conduct your business in accordance with all the laws and regulations of the country where you're carrying out your activity, and then of course in accordance with all of the applicable US, federal, state, local laws and regulations, and then with obviously with WUSATA program regulations as well. At the end of the day, it's our goal to maintain and enhance the reputation of our organization, our participants, of course, and then the industry as a whole. And now we get to look at some other success stories. This is probably one of my favorite parts of these presentations, is being able to share with you the successes that your fellow producers are able to achieve by their participation through WUSATA. So this particular company is based out of Westminster, Colorado. This is JC Cakes with their product Flapjack, and they have been participating with WUSATA since 2014. So just about 6 years now, and they've utilized all three program tracks, the Export Education, Global Connect, and Fund Match. In 2017, they utilized Fund Match to attend Expo Ontario trade show in Mexico, and while they were there, they met with a distributor from Iceland, and now their product is in a grocery store chain in Iceland, which is pretty fantastic. They also used Fund Match to attend some of those approved domestic trade shows. So they went to Expo East, meeting with a distributor from Saudi Arabia, which resulted in their products getting into Safeway and Holland and Barrett's in Saudi Arabia. And apparently Holland and Barrett's is one of the world's leading health and wellness retailers. At the 2017 Summer Fancy Food Show, they were able to meet with an Indonesian distributor for the first time, and then they met up with them again at Expo West, and that's where they were able to confirm that they were on the same track, and now they're doing the paperwork to move forward with business in Indonesia. This next company that we have here is Bite Fuel, and I learned recently that they're just down the road from where I live, which is pretty cool. I was just driving around Oregon City, and I was like, "Wait, hey, that's one of our companies." I was pretty excited about it. But they are relatively new to WUSATA. They started their participation in 2018, and they utilized Fund Match. As a result of their participation, they were able to launch sales into Canada and then increase sales in Kuwait, and they saw an increase in their overall international sales from their participation. It went up by 35%. So how they did that was the company used the funds to attend Natural Products Expo West, where they were able to meet with their distributor for Canada for the first time and then reconnect with that buyer from Kuwait. They also used the funding to invest in new packaging for sending their products to Canada. So that requirement of having both English and French on the label, as well as additional nutritional information, was a requirement. And then they say that thanks to their growth in export markets, they have been able to hire new employees and increase the purchase of U.S. grown ingredients. And I really like that point because it goes beyond their bottom line. It shows how they've been able to help their community, which I think is really ultimately what we all want to see with our taxpayer funds, making sure that we are reinvesting in our U.S. economy. So today I've provided you with a lot of information about our programs and services. I'm happy to take any questions at this time. And if you're feeling shy, you can go ahead and send me a direct email. I can answer your questions via email, or we can have a follow-up call at a later time. I'm happy to do that as well. But if anybody has any questions, please feel free to go ahead and put it into that question and answer box. I'll go ahead and ask Chelsea, if you have any final notes that you would like to say before we sign off for the rest of the day.
No, just, thank you everyone for sticking with us today. We have a lot of cool stuff up in the works, and we're really trying to navigate this pandemic and really make connections for everybody, so that it's not a waste year. So if you have any questions at any time, or if you're interested in any of the programs that we are working on, feel free to reach out at any time. We'll be in touch with you guys as well as we see activities that pop up and that we think would be a good fit for your company.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Chelsea. And again, thank you everybody for joining today. I really appreciate your time and taking the initiative to learn about WUSATA programs. I will follow up with all of you via email sometime today, probably in the next couple hours, and you'll receive a follow-up email. And then again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. If you do have questions, I'm happy to help and assist you with your exporting needs. Well, thank you everybody, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.